Okay, we're back on. Okay, so Ayelet HaShachar. Who's Ayelet HaShachar, you know?
I think I was referring to an actual person.
Yeah, it is.
Referring to this.
It's referring to Esther.
How does that correlate to Esther?
She was, the nurse said she was also known as Ayelet HaShachar. Psalm 22, Mizmor Kaf Bet. I'm not saying, give me a hand there, please. I have one. You asked it. There we go. Anyone. On the side, on the right. Yeah. No, down. One down.
I feel like all the names that correspond to the name Esther, like, it's always a common theme of like modesty, of like power within modesty, of like being able to overthrow things and do great things, but within like a realm of modesty. And I feel like Ayelet HaShachar is very much referring to like a light that shines by the existential darkness, and it's a very stark thing. It's
Very
a very
nice,
like not modest thing. In a way.
No, why is it not modest?
Not immodest, but it's not like a subtle, you know?
No.
It's like the first start. It breaks the night. It's very like.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But exactly that is breaking the darkness. This is the sound that hangs. This is the mizmor that Esther said the night she went to Achashverosh. Okay, so just what are the four mitzvot of Purim? Mishloach Manot, Megillah, Sudat Purim, and Matanot Levyanim, right? Okay, very important. Okay, and also the Megillah, you have to hear every word. You have to hear every word. Okay? If you want one with commentary, there's lots of Tehillim over there, yeah. Okay, wie Hauptmann, das ist nicht gewähnt. This is an entry. This is a good entry. We're on page 31, I believe. No, we did that. We're 36, you see? Okay, but Tichtov Esther. 36. But Tichtov Esther. This is a very feminist teaching. Okay, ותכתוב אסתר. שלום, ותכתוב אסתר. הנה, עכשיו קראנו, ותכתוב אסתר. Mommy's upstairs. Was machst du?
Alles is cool.
Yeah, alles is cool. My son. And his wife. Okay, ותכתוב אסתר, כל המשיחים של עם ישראל היו דברים. All the messiahs of the Jewish people, meaning to say, like, the saviors, the anointed of the Jewish people were men, milvad bepurim, except on Purim. The truth is that, like, for example, what's her name? Dvorah, Miriam, right? And like the rabbis say, it wasn't the merit of the righteous women that our ancestors were redeemed from Egypt. Miriam is credited with convincing her father to go back to her mother after he separated from her because he didn't want to have any more children, because Pharaoh had made a decree to execute the baby boy. So he figured, what's the point of having the child if it might be a boy and they're going to kill him? And Miriam went and told him. So he separated from Yochebed, and he was a leader in the Jewish people. So other people followed his example. And so Miriam went and told him that what you're doing is even worse than Pharaoh, because now we won't have any children. There's not going to be any continuity, right? And then you have Dvorah, who pretty much leads us in war against against Sisera. I mean, Barak, like, is out there in the field, but Dvorah, without her, he wasn't going to do it. But still, in terms of like somebody establishing a holiday, and like Mamish saving all the Jewish people, Esther's the first one. בפורים יש גבר ואישה. Purim you have a man and a woman. כמובן שאסתר הייתה מאוד איכותית. Obviously, Esther was a very high quality person. איכותית, of strong, of great character. איכות means quality. היא חונכה על ידי מרדכי, she was raised and educated by Mordechai, כדי להיות המלכה של העולם, to be queen of the world, המלכה של 127 מדינות, to be queen over 127 provinces. היא הייתה צריכה להיות על רמה, she obviously had to be on the level, היא הייתה צריכה להיות איכותית, she had to be something special. במדרש כתוב, the Medrash says, שרבי עקיבא דרש כל אות, that Rabbi Akiva used to take a drash, interpret every letter of the Torah, about kol tag shebatorah, even the tagim. You know what tagim are? Tagim, what are tagim?
So the little round on top of the letters.
It's the crowns, the decorations, and the letters. You know, if you look in the Sefer Torah, you see there's certain letters that have little crowns on them. Those are called tagim. Rabbi Akiva learned mountains of, the Gemara says, mountains of halachot just from the decorations on the letters. Right? You know, people thought that, people would say, like, what, you know, what do you mean? Like, you know, they're just decorations on the letters. No, everything in the Sefer Torah is totally significant. And if you think that's like a little chipchik is insignificant, let me see you write a computer code and put in a semicolon instead of a comma or instead of a period and see what's going to happen to your program. Right? It's a little garnish. And you know, this whole thing over here is generated, you know, by what? By on, off, on, off, on, off. It's zeros and ones. So Rabbi Akiva would interpret everything in the Torah. So some of his students asked him, why are you paying attention to individual letters and decorations and letters? Why do we need this? Rabbi Akiva was the master of the oral Torah. There are teachings in the Torah that you mamish needed in your life. What is Eitz Hadat? The tree of knowledge. Eitz Hadat is I know what to do in every situation. However, yesh baze ezo shehi dat pnimit. Okay. So, Eitz Hadat is that you know what to do in every situation. There's a certain inner knowledge that is beyond words. There's a knowledge that is deeper than can be expressed in words. And that's what Malchut is all about. That's what kingship is all about. He explains. So he explains, the Melech yesh mashu pnimi. A king has something inner. Mashu amok ma'od, something very deep. Everybody knows that Sarah Imenu, her mother Sarah, was deeper than Avraham Avinu. How do we know that? because Hashem Amar Abraham, Hashem said to Abraham, Kol asher tomar elecha Sarah shma b'kola, whatever Sarah tells you, listen to her. Listen to her voice. Madua hanevuah shel Sarah lo ktuba b'Torah. So if that's the case, if she was deeper than Abraham Avinu, Kol tuv. Wait, Rega. Judy, not here. For Esti Shliach Mitzvah, for everybody. Okay. So everybody knows that Hashem said to Abraham, whatever Sarah tells you, listen to her. In other words, she has some kind of a deeper knowledge than Abraham had. So why aren't her prophecies written in the Torah? We only see a little bit of her prophecy. When she chased Ishmael away. Abraham's prophecy was in words. But Sarah's prophecy was in letters, individual letters. Okay, in other words, there's a Mishnah in Pirkei Avot that says if somebody teaches you just one thing in Torah, you have to give them the utmost honor. And the Mishnah says even if someone taught you only one letter of Torah, you owe them the utmost honor. One letter. What can you do with one letter?
A lot.
A lot. The whole Torah?
Even the whole Torah.
Even the whole Torah. Do you know that firsthand? Or you heard about it?
I feel it.
You feel it. Okay, Gewalt. Well, Shem Tov said if somebody teaches you one letter of Torah properly, the entire Torah is contained in every letter of the Torah, just like the entire ocean is in every drop of water.
You one time gave an example. In the ocean, you use DNA.
DNA. Every cell in your body contains the entire genetic code, right?
You one time said that everything in the Torah refers to an individual. We can learn from everything in the Torah.
Refers to us personally, yeah.
Okay. I have a question to ask. It's going to seem like a silly question, but it's not.
A Purim question. Okay, good.
Purim question, right? God tells Abraham, listen to Sarah. It's not a silly question. Is this a simon that every husband should listen to his wife?
He's asking you.
We're not married. But yes.
They say that if a tree falls in the forest and there's nobody there to hear it, does it make noise? And the Jewish question is if a man says something in the forest, if a Jewish man says something in the forest, there's nobody there to hear him, is he still wrong?
God said to Abraham, Shema B'Korah. Shema is a command word.
Yeah.
If it wouldn't be, it would be Tishma. So how does a man listen to a wife? You take the letters Shin, Mem, Ayin. When a wife talks, Shin. If she still talks, you access the Mem. And if she's still talking, you access the Ayin. I don't know how true that is, but I get my best jokes and stories.
Okay. So
I do.
So now he says like this. HaTorah, page 37. HaTorah shel Rabbi Akiva, so HaTorah shebal peh. The teachings of Rabbi Akiva, that was the oral Torah. Ma kol ha'inyan shel ha'otiyot. What's the whole thing about letters? Kishani mekabel michtav asakim, when I get a business letter, hamilim chashuvot, the words are important. Ha'otiyot lo chashuvot, the letters themselves are not important. Kishani mekabel michtav ahava, When I get a love letter, hakol chashuv. Everything is important. And I'm looking at every letter 1,000 times. Our fathers taught us Torah. But to love the Torah so much, to the point that you're learning every letter 1,000 times, that's coming from our mothers. Right? When Reb Soloveitchik's mother passed away, so he opened his eulogy for his mother with the verse, Shma b'ni musar avicha, v'al titosh Torah timecha. Listen, my son, to the teachings of your father, and do not let the Torah of your mother depart from you. So he said like this: my father taught me the laws of Shabbos. My mother taught me how to welcome the Shabbos queen. Understand this thing? So Rabbi Akiva Amar, so once Rabbi Akiva said to his students, this is from the Gemara, Atem yodim madua Esther hayta malka shel 127 medinot. Do you know why Esther was queen over 127 countries? Bevadai hi yada mashu. Obviously, she knew something. Hi yada et haTorah shel Sarah Imenu. She knew the Torah of her mother Sarah. Right? How long did Sarah live?
7 years, 20 years, and
100 years. Right? Rashi Omer, she said, Dikim him tamim shlemim. Rashi says that the righteous are complete people. We're living in the world and we're never sure if we did what we were supposed to do. We're never sure if we did what we were supposed to do. Or all of it. Hatzadikim, however, the righteous, Tzadikim live exactly the amount of time they're supposed to live to complete their task in this world. Here's the star from yesterday.
Still a star.
I didn't say he's not.
Still a star.
So, Kishem Ozvim et haolam, hey mutzar gamru. When the tzaddikim leave the world, they are a complete product. In other words, they completed everything they were supposed to do. Abraham lived exactly as long as he needed to live to complete the being Abraham. כתוב שזה לקח בדיוק 127 שנים לגמור את Sarah. So the Torah tells us it took 127 years for Sarah to be complete. Sarah imenu נתנה את התורה שלה לאסתר, and Sarah, our mother Sarah, gave over her knowledge, her Torah, to Esther.
Does this mean at the end of my life I will know what my mission was? Or do I have to be a tzaddik in order to know that?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
You just have to wait and see, eh?
Yeah.
What was Sarah's Torah?
He's saying that, like the otiyot, he's going to explain more, okay? כולם יודעים שהמגילה מבוססת על אותיות. Everybody knows that the Megillah is based on letters. Let's see what he means by that. Shem Hashem lo muskar b'Megillah. God's name is not mentioned in the Megillah berama shel milim, on the level of words. But Shem Hashem muskar b'Megillah rak b'rashei tevot. God's name does appear in an acronym form, like you'll find every so often that 4 consecutive words, the first letter of each word spells out Hashem's name. מילה אחת מתחילה באות, מילה אחרת מתחילה באות ה' וכולי. One word begins with a yud, the next one with a hey, the next one with a vav. מגילת אסתר מבוססת על אותיות. In other words, God is there in the letters. התורה שבעל פה and the oral Torah, and the oral Torah, he otiyot. The oral Torah is also letters, right? The Gemara has huge amounts of halachot that Moshe did here. To that. The Torah has huge amount of, that was Yiddish. It wasn't Chinese. You recognize Yiddish, yeah? No? I said Moshe the Tir. I said Moshe the door. The Torah derives huge amounts of laws from letters. Like, for example, the laws about how many walls a kosher sukkah has to have in order to be kosher is derived from the way Sukkot is spelled. Derived from the way Sukkot is spelled in the Torah. It's spelled in 3 different ways. So, and you learn things just from a letter. Madua. Why is that? Because how can you derive things from the letters in themselves? She says you're looking at the letters, and you keep on learning them until the letters themselves start revealing to you their deepest secrets. Okay, that's and I'm thankful that we have computer programming as an example, to show you that how like one little thing makes all the difference. One little thing, and like Reb David was trying to get everybody to understand yesterday, one note correct, one note sung correctly gives the song a whole other flavor, right? Change that one note, it's only one note, I think I told you once that I was, there's a mitzvah in the Torah that says that you're not allowed to add to the Torah, you're not allowed to subtract from the Torah. Okay, so subtracting from the Torah is obvious. Like, you can't take an eraser and erase this and erase that, right? But what about, Shabbos is such a beautiful day. Why can't you make 2 days of Shabbos? Right?
I've often wondered that too. You can't go wrong.
It's a good question. Anyway, so there's a phrase that says in the Talmud, Kol hamusif goraya. Every addition is also a subtraction, right? If you walk into a building and it says no smoking, it means no smoking anywhere in the building. If it says no smoking in the hallways, you added the word hallway, that means everywhere else is okay, right? Every addition is a subtraction. So I was once there was this girl who came to our school in the middle of the year, and she needed some catch-up lessons, so I would go to her house to give lessons, and we used to sit in front of a $500,000 Picasso. Her father was a known gangster in Montreal. Like sometimes I'd walk into the house and I'd see him doing business deals, and there were guns on the table and so on.
Really?
Yeah.
Jewish guy?
Why not? we have everything, right?
Okay.
Anyway, so I'm trying to explain to her, why you can't add something. So I said to her, Melanie, don't you think if I would put a little bit of more blue in this painting over here, it would be more beautiful? And that Picasso, and she says, my father will kill you. She was in grade 2. I said, no, seriously. I said, don't you think it'll be more beautiful? She says, my father will kill you.
Grade 2?
Yeah. She understood well. Okay. So, speaking about paintings and speaking about, simcha and sason, remember we were learning this, the difference between joy and simcha and sason, unexpected, enormous joy. So there's a young man that used to learn in our yeshiva over here, and he was telling me the story that an uncle of his was going to France, And he was in the textile business, and he took along with him a significant amount of cash. And when he came into to customs, like, so they stopped him and they said, "Why are you carrying so much cash?" So he couldn't tell them exactly details and so on. So it happened to be that while he was on the plane, he was looking on one of those airplane magazines, and there was an ad about a big art auction taking place with some fancy, with famous paintings. So he says, I came to buy this painting at the auction. So they didn't believe him. So they sent 2 guards to escort him to the auction to make sure that he bought that painting. He had no intention of buying that painting, and he ended up buying this painting for $50,000, which was the money that he had brought with him. Well, guess what? A couple of weeks later, he sold it for $500,000. Now that's the son, That's the son. Like you thought you were going to do this deal. In the meantime, no, you're something altogether different, right? So back in what we're learning over here, right?
Can I say something about letters?
If it's very short.
Very short.
Yeah.
There's a friend of mine who was in a spirituality course, and every week they'd spend a class.
Never heard of such a thing.
Spirituality
Course.
course.
I don't know exactly how to describe it. So I'm just using the term. Anyway, she was in this course, a Jewish course about Jewish.
Yeah, go on.
Every week it would be, I think, at least 4 hours on one letter, and they'd have to prepare for it all week long.
Oh, Kalman is doing that.
All week long, they have to prepare. What is the meaning of each letter? 22 letters.
The Skornish. There's a whole book by Rav Ginsburg on the Aleph Beis letters, where the Baal Shem Tov taught that each letter has 9 dimensions. It's way beyond 4 hours. So he says like this. Rabbi Akiva darash Torot al ha'otiyot afilu al hatagim. Right? So we're on 38, right? 30. So hold on, where are we? Third line. So התלמידים שאלו אותו, מי צריך את זה? אפשר להיות יהודי בלי זה. So the student said, you can be a Jew without that. Rabbi Akiva said, אתה יכול להיות יהודי בלי זה. You could be a Jew without all this, without this knowledge. אבל אתה לא יכול להיות אסתר המלכה בלי זה. But you can't be Queen Esther. אתה לא יכול ללמד את העולם על השם בלי זה. You can't teach the world about God if you don't have this deep knowledge. כתוב במגילה שהרבה אנשים התגיירו. It says in the Megillah that there's a pasuk in the Megillah ורבים מימי הארץ מתייהדים. A lot of people converted to Judaism. Mordechai ואסתר כבשו את העולם. Basically, Mordechai and Esther, so to speak, captured the world. העולם ידע, the world really came to know at that time שהיהודים קדושים והשם הוא קדוש. That the Jews are holy and that God is holy. הדרך שבה אנו מלמדים את העולם, and the way we teach the world about Hashem and about holiness, he beli milim, is without words. You get that? That's a very, very important sentence. The way you teach people about Hashem, the way you teach the world people about holiness, is by teaching without words, right? It has to be deeper than words. The Goyim also, the nations also have written Torah. Goyim, they're still the nations of the world. The oral Torah is about knowing God in the deepest way. Shel kol milah is the knowledge of every letter of every word. So, till now he was talking about Esther's qualities, right? The old Satmar Rebbetzin used to let the rabbis and the Vanta Rabbanim in Williamsburg know what her opinion is. So one day one of the Rabbanim said to another one, who does she think she is? Telling us what to do. She heard about it and she sent him a note. Willst dich probieren? You want to try? You want to test? You want to try? You want to battle with me? You want to try it out? She was a big Talmidah Chachama, you know. So I read a story that in one of the Tversky families, the Rebbetzin was a far greater scholar than her husband. And people used to come to her husband with Dinei Torah, you know, with arguments and everything. And sometimes it was like really complicated cases. And she would listen in from behind the door. And then at supper time, she'd say, you know, I heard this argument that's going on there between these two people in front of you. You know, I was thinking that, and she knew that he wasn't able to always figure out the solution. And she would say to him at supper, you know, I thought that such and such would be a good idea. And he'd realized that she knew exactly that, and he would pass him according to what she told him.
But did anyone know that? Did she ever receive credit for it, or her husband received all the credit for her wisdom?
Well, the story is known, right?
Well, now it is.
Maybe she didn't want. Maybe she wanted to keep it quiet. It's also possible, you know.
Was one of the episodes the whole man about that.
Yeah, I'm talking about Rebbetzin.
No,
I'm talking about. I went and I did a talk somewhere in Maine. Okay, and I'm at this rabbi's house, and his wife says to me, "What do you think of what the Marshal says and Brochus of Ches over there?" And so I think, "Oh my God, you know, she knows not only the Talmud, she knows the commentators and everything." I felt so embarrassed, you know. She, you know, like they're like, you know, they even today go to Nishmat. Have you been to Nishmat?
I know of it.
There are ladies there that have learned Shas a few times already. Yeah, I was at the Nishmat's.
Where is it?
It's for women.
Yeah.
It's here in Yerushalayim.
Katamonim.
When they had their 12th year celebration, so the woman who gave the valedictory, or the keynote address, was a medical doctor from one of the Ivy League schools. She had 4 children, and she was just doing her second Siyum Hashas or something like that. And she was all of like maybe 32 years old. Something like that, okay? So they like, you know, one of the reasons that you know, the women in the last 30 years have made so much progress in their learning that now before, like a girl, like, you know, I'm going out with a guy from the yeshiva, he must be like really great. Now the women are looking at the guys from the yeshiva and they're saying, what have you been doing for the last 30 years?
What does it bring that the women are allowed to learn?
That's Zamul Gewein, not anymore. It's another discussion, but in any case. So in other words, what he's saying over here is like this: information-wise, you can read the Torah as just in terms of information, and it's you can get the superficial meaning of it and so on, but to get the deep meanings of it, it's a matter of relationship. הגאולה הכי גבוהה של העולם יכולה להיות רק כאשר אדם וחווה ביחד. So now here's something that Reb Shlomo said, and at the time that he said it, it was quite radical. He says the greatest revelation, the greatest redemption in the world can only come about when it's going to be done by Adam and Chava together. הנפילה שלנו הייתה בזה שאדם וחווה נפרדו. Our downfall came about because Adam and Chava were separate. הגאולה האמיתית של פורים זה בגלל שמרדכי ואסתר עשו משהו ביחד. The true redemption of Purim is because Mordechai and Esther did something together. I want to tell you something that's breaking the heart. And amongst us in the religious communities, Habal holech lebeit hakneset. Husband goes off to shul. Vayisha neshevet babayit. The woman stays home. Hu oseh mashu v'hi oseh mashu acher. He's doing one thing, she's doing something else. Maybe it's nice, but it's not Purim. It's not Purim. It's not the redemption of the world. That's not what's going to bring Mashiach. Hayom Baruch Hashem b'chugim halot datiyim. Thank God today, he says, in the non-religious communities, hanashim na'asot yoter v'yoter chazakot. The women are getting stronger. אנחנו צריכים לתפוס את ההגה, we got to take hold of the steering wheel, וללחוץ קצת על הגז, and step on the gas, page 39. כבר איבדנו 80% מבנותינו, we've already lost 80% of our daughters. אנחנו נאבד חס ושלום 100% אם לא נעשה משהו, we're going to lose all of them if we don't do something about it. יהיו לנו תמיד כמה בנות דתיות, we're always going to have some religious women, some religious girls, but they're going to be like this woman who said to me, she said, if I don't talk about something like, like a topic like whether something is kosher or not, there's nobody will stay and listen.
What context is she speaking about?
She's talking about that, in some communities, the only topic that women are going to go and listen to a shiur is whether a topic like kashrus or something like that. Not that that's not important. It's just that there's no attention is given to the depth of knowledge of the women. Baruch Hashem, today you have you have Skolshevsky, you have many others like her, people who mamish know how to learn and know Reb Nachman backwards and forwards, and there's a friend of ours in Montreal like that, knows everything from Breslov completely, perfectly, and in depth, and so on. So it's very, very important. So now he's going on to something a little bit different, but it's going to be connected. He says, what's so special about Purim? Purim, we don't have time to learn. We're busy sending gifts of food to each other. We're drinking. The divine revelation on Purim is so deep. מישהו כתב שאלה לרבי מאושטוביץ. I think that's a typo. Never heard of that city. And הוא אמר שקיבל משלוח מנות ממישהו לא דתי. He says, he wrote to his rabbi saying that he received משלוח מנות from somebody not religious. ושאל, and he asked, האם מותר לו לאכול את האוכל של משלוח המנות? He asked, is he allowed to eat it, being that this person wasn't religious? והרבי ענה, משהו מאוד יפה, the rabbi answered him, מה כל העניין של משלוח מנות? What's משלוח מנות all about? הסיפור של אסתר התחיל כשהיהודים אכלו במשתה של אחשוורוש. The story of Esther began with the Jews eating at the feast that Achashverosh had invited everyone to. כל יהודי האשים את היהודי השני, and every Jew was accusing the others, שהוא אכל טרף, that they ate something not kosher. ולכן אסתר אמרה למרדכי, Esther says to Mordechai, לך כנוס את כל היהודים, go and gather all the Jews, תשכח מה שאכלנו אתמול, forget about what we ate yesterday, מעכשיו כל היהודים יהיו ביחד, and from now on all the Jews are going to be back together. כל הרעיון של פורים הוא, the whole idea of Purim is שמעכשיו כל יהודי יאמר לחברו, is that from now on every Jew will say to his fellow, אני סומך עליך שאתה כשר, I'm trusting you that you're kosher, אני סומך עליך, I'm relying on you. ככה אנו מביאים את המשיח, and that's how we bring משיח. אוי למי שלא אוכל את משלוח המנות בגלל שהוא חושב שזה לא כשר. Woe to one who won't eat somebody's shalach manos because he thinks it's not kosher. Now, it is possible that somebody might, Dafka give you something. We're not talking about that. But standard, like like a Yid brings you Shalach Manis, you don't have to assume that, oh, maybe maybe it's not kosher. We trust each other with our lives. The whole miracle of Purim is that everybody went out to protect each other, right? Religious, not religious, scholars, ignoramuses, whatever, everybody was ready to give their life to save another Yid. So we're trusting each other with our lives, tragically, we're not on the same level as we were on that day of Purim. So he says, "כך אנו מביאים את המשיח." Yeah, so בפורים הדבר הכי חשוב הוא שיהודים יהיו ביחד. The essence of Purim, the most important thing of Purim is that we should all be together. Right? I mean, look at what's going on today, without going into the politics of it. So many Jews are so divided on so many different levels, on religious levels, on political levels, on BDS, this, that, and that's why the world is having a heyday with Israel. Divided. To be divided is very dangerous. So, but Megillah Katuv, page 40 in the Megillah, it says, "Vatichtov Esther." Esther wrote. It was Esther that had the Megillah written. B'yameinu, in our days, אם אישה הייתה כותבת ספר, if a woman would write a book, ורב היה אומר שצריך להכניס את הספר להיות חלק מהתנ"ך. And some rabbi would say that this book should be added to the books of the Tanakh. כל הרבנים היו כותבים תשובות נגד הרב הזה, all the other rabbis would be writing rulings against that rabbi. Esther הייתה הכתבת של המגילה. Esther was the author of the Megillah. כיום אישה לא יכולה אפילו להחליט אם האפייה כשירה. Today a woman can't even decide if a bakery is kosher. זה מה שמונע מהמשיח לבוא. Reb Shlomo is saying this is what's holding Mashiach back from coming. אישה אחת פעם סיפרה לי שהיא הפסיקה ללכת לבית הכנסת. This woman told me that she stopped going to shul. Why? Because הנשים שאלו את הרב אם הן יכולות לעלות לתורה. Women asked if they can go up to get an aliyah. הוא ענה לא, and he said no. So she says, הסתכלתי לעבר הגברים. So I looked at the men's side of the shul. הם היו מדברים, ישנים, they were talking, sleeping. לא הייתה להם שום כוונה, there was no כוונה in their prayers. אם אנו הנשים היינו מחזיקות את התורה, if the women would be in charge of the Torah, זה היה כל כך קדוש, it would be so holy, כל כך גבוה. מי הרב שמונע מאיתנו לעבוד את השם? Who's this rabbi that's trying to stop us? So once a group of women asked Reb Shlomo, so then why do you have a machitza in your shul? Right? And he said a very simple, straightforward answer, because in the Beit HaMikdash there was. Okay? And one woman, very, very precious woman, was telling me that, and I'll tell you that this once I came to New York for not the last Hoshana Rabbah, but the second last Hoshana Rabbah.
Right.
And yeah, you were there. Yeah. And I had just gotten a video camera. So Reb Shlomo was already in the middle of Chazor Shas. We had just arrived from Montreal. So I went up to the front of the shul. The shul, the Karlebach shul is like one of those long, narrow things. And I had never been up at the front looking towards the back. So the mechitza in the shul over there runs straight down the center, all the way up towards the window. And it's a no see-through mechitza, okay? But at the front of the mechitza, it's a clear glass, so the women could see the Sefer Torah and so on. So I went up to the Aron Kodesh to film Shlomo, leading the davening. And somebody went to, he said, I'm going to go bring you a tripod, so I can just place the camera and take a davening. In the meantime, I was panning, and all of a sudden, I panned into the ladies section. Unintentionally, I was just panning. And in my viewfinder, there was this gorgeous woman dancing like crazy. And after about 2 seconds of that, I felt like I had trespassed. I felt like if she would know that a man was watching her, she would not have allowed herself to be as free in her dancing and as free in her self-expression. And that's when I realized, that the mechitza, it's not that it's not just like, oh, us men are so holy, we keep the women out of sight. The mechitza is really about to give the men an opportunity and a private space to be able to daven and allow their emotions to be expressed, and to give the women a privacy that they can express their emotions in the davening too. And that's a reality. Like you'll see, for example, come to my note, you can hear the women singing in Kabbalat Shabbat, and if they would be visible, many of them would not allow themselves to do it. Okay? Once we went to daven at the Breslov Shul, the Meir Shavim, and over there it's like an almost totally private balcony. And Judy told me that you have no idea how the women are praying over there. It's amazing. Like full expression and everything, because they have the liberty to do it amongst